Yo, what up, YouTube? What up, what up? Today I'm gonna talk about real quick knowledge theory. Alright? Knowledge is it's an interesting thing. I love knowledge. Knowledge is amazing. Don't get it twisted. Very interesting. But let's consider something in terms of Christ. When Christ came, right? He knew who his father was. Alright? Knew who his father was, which is intricate, right? Because we know that, you know, Joseph was, what I'm saying, wasn't Christ's biological father. But Christ knew directly who his father was, spiritually. Okay? Hang on to that for a second. Nobody needed to tell Christ anything. Christ did not go to church at all. Instead, what Christ did was taught. And we know he's also likened to the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. Now you guys, if if you lived in Genesis and Eden, you guys, people were saying like, oh, Adam and Eve, they got down, which wasn't true. Okay. There was no sexual activity. But the point is even if it was, there were no commandments, laws, or statutes at that point. Man had a direct relationship to God, kind of like Christ's birth, with Joseph not being his biological father, but him knowing who his father was. And we look at the black community, so many fatherless babies. Luke Skywalker didn't know who his father was in Star Wars either. See how it echoes over and over again, the truth. The truth is the law that there is the law of the land. And in man's faulty logic, we think the law of the land is the law of man. No, manufactured law is not the law. That's an antichrist type of thing. The law of the land is the law of nature. He's saying, Mother Earth, go in the way that Mother Nature teaches you to go. Male and female produces life. In order to produce life, you need a seed. And a seed has to have an egg and be fertilized, right? This is the law of the land, the earth, Mother Nature. All right? But people start recognizing the mother goddess, such as like, all these dynamics are ancient, most notable Egypt. But even Egypt is a new civilization, kind of. You understand? There was civilizations far older than that, like, I don't know, Samaria, Acadia, these type of places. I'm not going to get into that here, right? There were the ways of man, and the ways of man always changes. But the law of the land, that which is natural, does not change. And that which is natural is Eden. And Christ, being likened to the tree of life in Eden, I am the truth, the life, and the way. He was telling people to recognize his ways were natural. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you is the mind control and everything that you have been taught, like racism, dietary laws and structures. All these things are studies, and I'm not saying that they're incorrect. I do love knowledge. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. But the fact of the matter is, we must understand that wisdom is eternal, where knowledge is circumstantial. You can reproduce things in terms of knowledge or create effects, and then we call this science. Or if you change the circumstances, that same knowledge could not be applied. If I was given wisdom, which that's what I tend to focus on, you know what I'm saying? What advice I would give to a white man in this world would be equitable if he told somebody that was Native American or any other race or culture. But knowledge, I know that in this world, I don't have as many rights as a white boy. You understand? Not here in America and not, in so called civilization. This is knowledge, meaning knowledge is something that is taught to you. Wisdom is something that is spiritual, that is already within you. The problem is that man's knowledge only sought to define or worship things that he could measure or see. And therefore, those things are beneath wisdom, which is spiritual. When you see things that are unseen, that affects the things in the physical realm. You understand? The laws, statutes, and commandments for those who are Hebrews, you guys, is that is the law of sin. If you read the Bible, there's a law of sin and death. Why is it the law of sin and death? Meaning, if you have to deal with those laws and really need them, then something's wrong with you internally. You don't have the right spirit. You understand what I'm saying? You don't, when Christ came, he wasn't saying that the law was done away with, but the fact of the matter is the law is done away with in the case that you have Christ, because you'll be going in the way of Christ if you're following Christ. Therefore, there is grace, because he knows that you're under mind control. He knows you've been programmed through knowledge and circumstance. How does the economics of the 80s apply today? It's completely irrelevant, as far as also the census and modes of transportation and everything else, right? All of these things are knowledge and they're cool, but they change with time. They're temporal, they're temporary. Wisdom is spiritual. Knowledge is an attribute of wisdom. That invisible place, that innovative place that things are pulled from. And now creativity is being siphoned because, the government wanted to cut, creativity out of the school system. They cut the funding and everything else like that. But all of our inventions and innovative ideas came from the knowledge, pulling from the wisdom of creativity. So how is it that creativity supersedes knowledge? Then we know that wisdom is creative. Knowledge itself is a science. Knowledge itself is a theory. If the knowledge I have of being a black man in this world, a white man could not understand it or attribute it to his life. Everybody as a kid, their parent may have told them, don't touch that pot, it's hot. That hot pot is indiscriminate, like a bullet that struck that 11-year-old. That was a stray bullet. These are the things that I'm telling you guys about. You understand? Wisdom moves in such ways. God is no respecter of persons. Right? Look at how we're doing the earth, knowing that we are the earth incarnate. But it is the spirit that is in the earth that is wise, that is connected to the Most High. Not knowing this thing is looking for God on the outside, but rather the inside. But not everybody has God on the inside. Think about the cult, Heaven's Gate. These are the intricacies of religion and all other things of trying to be too perfect while you wear flesh. Therefore, I'd rather wear humility. Because at the very least, I could be honest. When I tell you these things, know that I'm wise and I understand wisdom. I follow Christ. I'm behind him. I place myself beneath him. I am following in his way. A lot of people are accidentally too self-righteous out here. From YouTube to the pulpit. Something to think about. Peace and blessings be with you all.